Hey everyone, we're back live with Chef and
Hello.
Holistic Foods nutritionist Lee Holmes. We're in my kitchen and we're gonna make a few recipes for you. The first two that I'm gonna have Lee help me is, and Jade here is in the background telling me that I need to tell you guys about a little surprise, because we're gonna have these recipes available to anyone that signs up for the newsletter, and we're going to send them out via an email next Friday, whatever that is. Not this Friday, but next week,
So
Friday.
they need to join your email list.
Come to the email list, and then we're going to send out these recipes.
Wow.
Yeah,
Lucky them, huh?
little surprise for them.
Yeah.
And anyone who's tuning in right now, Lee Holmes is a gut specialist, as am I. So she's a gut healer. And she has a summit going on to educate people about gut health right now.
I do. It's called the Supercharge Your Gut Summit. If you type that into Google, it will come up. It's happening at the moment. You're a doctor on the summit. It was wonderful interviewing you. We've
I was there too.
30 other experts on there too. So yeah, have a look. Look it up. Supercharge Your Gut Summit.
And we're really excited to share with you one of the recipes. So I'm Cuban, and one of the recipes I'm making is my own version of a Cuban picadillo, but made in a healthier way than the way the Cubans make. And I'm actually cooking it in a pot that is from a company that's called 360Cookware. And I'm going to show you right here. It's kind of hard because I'm holding the camera myself. But with the 360 cookware, I can use less oil and cook at a lower temperature, so it's a healthier way to cook.
Yeah, much better.
And we have another dish back here that's very simple to make. And it's basically a butternut squash, one of my favorites.
And that's in season
favorites.
here right now.
That is
isn't
in
it?
season right now. Sorry.
You see them everywhere, all over New York.
Yeah. So I'm going to give the camera to Jade, and we're going to start our cooking demo.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Okay.
Okay,
so
so-
what have you got in here?
So, no, you got to turn it around. Yeah. So in here, if you want to show them, everyone. So basically I'm using, usually picadillo would be made with something like a vegetable oil, like a corn oil, which we know is not healthy.
Inflammatory.
It's inflammatory, or it might, some other vegetable oil. It could be cottonseed, or it could be
Canola, maybe.
canola oil. And we know a lot of these now, canola, I didn't mention it last night at my lecture, but or 2 nights ago, but canola, a lot of it is genetically modified,
Exactly.
as we know that corn is. So instead of making it with vegetable oil, what I do is I make it with coconut oil. So I've gone ahead and prepped a little bit.
And
so
you can
there's
really smell that coconut oil. It's beautiful. It's got a great smell to it.
yeah, and what I'll do is I'll heat up, melt the coconut oil. I kind of like to take shortcuts. So I put the spices at the bottom.
Oh, good idea.
So before we put the grass-fed beef, which is what we're using tonight, before we put it in there, I put the spices in, because then I add the spices on top. So it's kind of like my quick and dirty way to do it. So we can do it that way, or we can add the spices in here.
Okay, so either way is good?
Either way is fine.
Yeah, okay.
You know, I tend to do things fast, because I like shortcuts.
Yeah. And
So
the
we've got
spices-
sage, thyme,
Yeah.
oregano, what was it, also fennel. Love fennel because what are the benefits of fennel?
Fennel, I don't know actually. I mean, they're really anti-inflammatory to the body.
It's a
that's why I love it.
digestive.
It's a digestive aid as well,
Yeah.
actually. In fact, fennel tea they drink in India a lot. I remember that. The women in the morning would make these big pots of fennel tea, and they also drink it after parties. You know how they have the big weddings and parties in India? They drink it to aid their digestion. Yeah, so it's
And when you leave an Indian restaurant, you
Yeah.
see those little seeds that you can pick up. Those are fennel seeds.
And it smells really nice, doesn't it, too?
Yeah.
Fennel. It's got a beautiful flavour.
So what I'm going to have you do is we're going to add some garlic powder here. So what we could do is we
We're
can
going to pop that in.
pop that in there.
Okay, here we go. Might just need a spoon.
Yeah, you might.
So this
use
is your
that spoon.
grass-fed beef?
It's my grass-fed beef.
Yeah.
And so you can show people, so this is why I do this shortcut, because now the bottom of the beef
Yeah.
is getting marinated with coconut oil and with the spices.
That's a good idea, I think.
So now what you're going to do is you're going to take some of the
Garlic powder.
garlic
Do you use
powder.
fresh garlic at all?
I sometimes use fresh garlic, but I find that the fresh garlic, you have to be careful, especially if you have, let me help you here. If you have if you have an underlying condition like SIBO, or SIBO, depends on who you're talking to.
SIBO, FODMAPs.
But basically what it means is bacterial overgrowth in the small intestine. So if you have SIBO, then what's going on, Jade? If you have SIBO, then you don't want to eat too much garlic because it's going to make you gassy and it's going to make you uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So anyway, so we're going to add, so I find that the garlic powder doesn't do that as much as using natural garlic.
But if you're okay with natural garlic, you can have it in this dish.
So you can, and the Cuban picadillo version does add natural garlic.
How much should I put in? I mean, I just sort of peppered it around. Is that enough? Like, is it half a teaspoon? Is it a teaspoon? Or I know that you kind of cook.
You know, I don't really follow recipes. I do it, although we are going to have this recipe for you. So even though I don't follow recipes, I do actually put them together for my followers. So we're turning it on now. And you're going to start it on low to medium heat.
Okay.
And then we're going to add some other spices.
Okay, good. Yes.
So let's add some thyme. And I love this mix, which is called Herbes de Provence. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Because it's a combination that has thyme, basil, which we know is anti-inflammatory.
Yeah.
And you actually contributed a recipe, I think it's a basil pesto, that's in my upcoming, it's going to be in the paperback version of Happy Gut, which is coming out at the end of the year.
And that pesto is really super simple to make, it's really easy. And I use nutritional yeast flakes in that pesto as well, which we're going to use later for another recipe.
Yes.
So you want a little bit of this in as well. It's starting to sort of sizzle now. You can really get all of those flavors coming through, which is yummy. Is that enough?
So I like really coating it, like this is like a heavy snow on the meat.
Okay.
Like really coating it with the herbs, because once you have to start mixing it in, they start to disappear.
Yeah. I have a herb wall at home, so I have fresh herbs that I just go outside and I pick. I've got beautiful rosemary. I've got a massive wall of herbs outside.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's really cool. So
I have to come visit you and cook in
do.
Australia.
In my kitchen. Sage, I've got rosemary, I've got so many different amazing herbs in my herb wall.
So I'm going to lower the heat a little bit now.
I'm going to give it a bit of a stir. Yeah.
And picadillo, which is a traditional Cuban dish, and picar, what that means is to cut. And in Spanish, anything that is an illo is something small. So sometimes we use that as terms of endearment, like meat. So picadillo is small cuts of meat. So what we do is as it starts to cook, we start to break it up.
Love that.
And you have to just keep breaking it up.
This is my favorite part of making anything like this. Just standing there and getting all my aggression out.
There isn't something. No, it's kind of therapeutic cooking. Don't you find cooking therapeutic? I mean, yes. I know I do. After a hard day when you lose yourself into I like to think of cooking as alchemy. Yeah, me too. Like trying to figure out what flavors go with each other and figuring out what is the balance of sweet with salty, with savory, and figuring out what something is missing and then adding it. So I love doing that. Sometimes it's kind of like the opposite. Like if something you want to bring out sweetness, you add salt. You don't actually add sugar. Like sometimes it's a little bit the opposite when you're cooking. Don't you find that? Yeah, or even using oil as a carrier to bring the flavors to your tongue. Exactly. Like to intensify the flavors. Yeah, I love that. So this is cooking along. It's kind of browning. And for anybody who actually, you don't have to wait to sign up for the newsletter. You don't have to wait for the email. As soon as you sign up for my newsletter, you're going to get an email with a promo code where you can get 10% off 360 Cookware. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover the pot and
Are
we're
you
gonna.
going to turn it over first or not yet?
No, not yet.
Oh, so you're just going to cover it like
So,
that? Okay.
mhm,
Got
yeah. So remember, I'm the shortcut guy. I don't want to spend too much time doing too many things.
Okay.
So I cover the pot
There you
because
go.
now the top of the meat starts to cook with the steam.
Right, okay, that's good.
And then before it cooks too much so that
Yeah.
it starts sticking together, you go
Yeah.
back in and you start to break it up.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to leave that for a moment while
And that's on a low heat, you've just turned that down?
it's on a low heat.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to keep it low, and then we're going
gonna
to go
head over
make
here. We're going to make my favorite
one of your dishes.
turmeric cauliflower dish, which is a staple in my kitchen. I make it all the time. So we're going to head over
And
here. I might get
look
you
at
to help me
this.
with
I
Where
have
did you
never
get that
found
from?
a cauliflower like this before.
That is-
Has anyone seen
that.
something
That's
like this?
ginormous.
I didn't know that cauliflower came hidden inside all of these leaves.
Yeah,
it's like
beautiful.
it's almost like a little present.
I know, isn't it? It's like a flower opening up.
So this is actually everything I got is from Whole Foods.
Yes, that looks so gorgeous. Isn't that gorgeous?
And
And-
the signature in this dish
Mm-hmm.
is, I think, is the turmeric.
The turmeric. The turmeric is obviously the anti-inflammatory part, the action of the dish. And
So-
the colour, the flavour. I absolutely love turmeric. I mean, I
Anybody
use it a lot.
who hasn't seen a turmeric root, this is what it looks
What
like.
it looks like.
It's
Looks
kind
like
of
a J.
it's kind of orange, and
Or an L.
this is what it looks like once it's been.
Grounded into,
Grounded up into powder. But this is, they think, one of the reasons that were low rates of dementia in India
Yes.
is because of the use of turmeric,
Yeah.
because it has anti-inflammatory benefits for the brain
Yeah.
and actually protective benefits to protect against Alzheimer's. And
There's
it's
a new
because
study actually that's out about Alzheimer's and turmeric. If you go online, you probably already know about it already, but there's a new study that has all about the benefits of Alzheimer's and turmeric. It's really incredible.
so then combine this with a cruciferous vegetable,
Mm.
which we know have anti-cancer properties,
Yeah.
and this is a power combination. So
Yeah,
tell me,
absolutely.
so what are we gonna do?
So the ingredients we've got some turmeric, we've got some lemon, we've got some garlic. What have we got?
Oh, and we have. Oh,
Coriander. We can add that on.
I wanted to mention this because
Yes.
you said the red onion, and the red onion is optional in the recipe. So
Oh,
I
okay.
am sensitive to sulfur,
Are you?
which is in red onions. But
Yeah.
so what I figured out is that if I eat a raw red onion,
Mm.
I will get a headache.
Really?
But once it's cooked, which it actually lowers the sulfur content.
Incredible.
It does not cause a headache.
Yeah.
So I can eat cooked red onion, I cannot eat raw red onion. And I've tried this many times because I'm like, okay, is this really true? Like I can't eat the raw red onion?
Yeah.
So I wanted to mention that because people that have gut issues, a lot of them
Yeah.
suffer from migraines.
Really?
And
I didn't know that.
there's a connection between sensitivities to different foods
Mm.
and as triggers for migraines.
Yeah.
And it can be different for different people.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
for me, red onion, that's one of my triggers.
And if you can't have red onion, I've got a really good fix for that actually. The green part of the spring onion you can use and still get the same kind of flavour. Or you can use asafoetida, which is an Indian herb. Have you heard of that? Asafoetida.
No.
It's an Indian
No.
herb and it's got a beautiful, you know it, Jade, don't you? You know it. It's got a beautiful flavour and you can use that in place. It's good for your belly, it's good for your tummy. So if you can't have onion, that's a really great replacement as well. If you're on a FODMAP diet,
Okay,
or what have you.
this was another question. So you called for coriander, which I could not find.
That was the
Whole
French.
Foods.
Oh, right. That was the
So I
French
couldn't-
coriander. That's just for decoration on top.
Okay,
Yeah.
because
so-
I wasn't sure, so then I thought, well, what could be close to coriander?
Mhm.
And I don't know if it is, but
You
I got
cilantro, yeah?
well, I have cilantro,
Yeah.
and I also got marjoram.
Oh, really?
So
Oh,
I
let's
don't know.
try some of that on top. I like the flavour of that.
I thought marjoram
Yeah.
has kind of like
Some
a
sort of like earthy kind of flavour to it. So you can try that too. So what we're going to do with the cauliflower is we're just going to chop it up. And, oh, it's such a big one. Isn't it? It's beautiful. So what I normally do is just start at the bottom and just cut all of those leaves off and just go across.
okay.
the
So
top.
just go
So
like
we'll
this.
Yeah, we'll just go like in there. That's a good place to go. And what I normally do is I like to sort of
This is
cut
amazing.
around it like this. Like this, because it's kind of meant to be cut like this, I think. So if you kind of just go around like that and you're just cutting into that core bit,
Mhm.
you'll see that the florets just sort of drop on their own, and then you can cut them a little bit shorter. But some people, some chefs don't even cut them at all, so they kind of just pull them apart. You know what I mean? Because they're meant to be pulled apart the way that they look. So see how there you can just
You can
do that
start
instead
breaking
of-
them up.
Yeah, you can just break them up. I love that.
So we're gonna break
about
them
it.
up.
I'm just going to do a little bit of breaking
And-
up. But I like them fairly small so that when it gets cooked and caramelizes, it tastes like popcorn. So you're adding the lemon, which caramelizes it as well, so it's really yummy.
This is one of these, I don't want to call it a hack, but if you're someone who wants that feeling of eating popcorn, but it's actually healthy for you at the same time, this is one thing to use. So
Yeah.
I've made cauliflower mash,
Me too.
and you can make cauliflower rice in
Yes.
quotation marks.
Yes.
And it all has to do with how much you cook it, right?
Yeah. And the cauliflower rice I actually bake it because if you want to do hacks, you want to do something really simply and quickly, you can just mix it up in a food processor so it's like rice, put it in a baking dish, add olive oil, turmeric, and then you just put it in and leave it. So that's instead of doing it on the stovetop, and standing there and turning it
I
every
should get my son to help us with this.
Yeah, we should. So what I
Just
might
watching
do while
TV.
we're doing this is I might pull the dressing together. That might be a good idea.
Okay, so while you're doing that, I'm gonna go take a peek at the beef
Okay.
and see what's going on here. So you can see that it's starting to, so it's cooking all the
Yes.
way through.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You want to show this?
That actually is starting to look really good.
So, and it's all on low heat. The coconut oil helps keep it from sticking to the bottom, but there's also, natural fat in the yeast, in the beef that's going to help with that. And you just keep breaking it up as it cooks. It's like a ground beef. It's a picadillo. This is one of the more popular traditional Cuban dishes, but reinvented by me into a healthy dish. Okay, so I'm going to cover that up again in my 360 pot. Now, I'm going to raise the heat a little bit. And that's going to keep going. So what do we need to do
we're
here?
almost finished with this now. So we'll grab that bowl. We might just use that bowl if you just want to give it a quick rinse in there. And we're going to make the dressing, my favorite dressing. Now this dressing, I put on everything. You can put it on chicken, you can put it on meat, you can use it as sort of like
So it's like a marinade.
Yeah, you can use it as a marinade. It's really good. It's really versatile. So it's pretty much the dressing I use on so many of my things. Even my roasts. I put it on my roast as well sometimes. So there we go. Just little bits of cauliflower, little florets, looking beautiful. We'll grab the bowl and olive oil. That's the oil we're going to use.
We got some olive oil,
Olive
yes.
We're going to use some lemon as well. So I'm just going to chop this lemon. And I need a fork just to get some of the pips out of there. Yeah, very easy, simple, beautiful dressing. I did something new with this the other day and it tasted really good. I added coconut milk to it and it made it so creamy.
Mm.
So that's another thing you could do if you wanted to. Add a bit of coconut milk to it. So here
That's
we go.
something that you never think about is using coconut milk in a dressing,
I know.
but it gives it
It
such a
made
great...
it so.
So
It was kind of like cauliflower cheesy, that creamy kind of dressing. type
Well,
of thing.
and we were talking about how adding some fat or oils to the food brings the flavor to the tongue,
Absolutely.
like it accentuates the flavor. So we need some olive oil.
We'll need olive oil. So I use about a quarter of a cup. So pop a quarter of a cup of whole cauliflower in there. And
Okay,
then,
I'm gonna do this by just kind of.
wing it.
I'm gonna wing it. Yeah,
It's gonna wing it.
this is my style. I just wing it.
This is the Cuban way.
Ever
A
since,
little bit
even from the first time I made recipes,
I'll say that.
I kind of follow the recipe, but then when you're cooking, you have to kind of feel how things are going and sometimes change it to what your desire is. So
And
maybe
don't you think that it changes every time you cook as well? Like it's always different. It's never the same. I don't know whether they say it's a science or it's an art. I don't know what it is, but it does change, don't you think?
Yeah, I think some days I add a little more of a certain spice, or I'm in the mood to have
Yeah.
a little more, make it a little more acidic, or
Absolutely.
add some more oil. So
Yeah.
anyway,
And
so
with
we're
lemon
gonna.
in too, this is a really easy way to get juice out of a lemon, just with a fork, like that. Oh, we've got a few pips in there, but we can take those out.
What do you
We
wait?
can
What did
just
you
spoon
call
those
them?
out. Pips. What do you call them? What do you call them?
Okay, this is a.
Aussie thing. What?
We call those seeds
Seeds,
here in
seeds,
America,
pips.
but down under you call them.
Oh, we can.
Pips.
Yeah, we can call them seeds.
No,
or
I
pips.
like
Maybe
this.
it's
I
an
like this. I'm
English
learning.
thing. I don't know.
We're
So
learning
I'm just
new
putting
terms.
my hands all through here, but we're just getting those pips out, or seeds if you're in America, getting the seeds out. Oh, I think we've got one more in there, and then we're done. Okay, that's good. Hopefully, that's all done.
So you're gonna need me
Oh,
to
one
break
more?
this up too, right?
Yes, so
the garlic.
I'll get you to open that. I like to use a lot of garlic, so probably 4 cloves, but
Okay.
it is really dependent upon your taste and how you like it. And
Yeah, and again, if you're someone who is on a FODMAP diet, a low
Yeah.
FODMAP diet, which is low in fructooligosahexaenone, mono, and saccharides and polyols,
yes,
and you say that really fast. So
I say
that's,
FODMAPs, it's a lot easier.
it's a lot easier to just say FODMAPs. But it's a type of diet for people that have any sort of IBS or bacterial overgrowth that can make their symptoms, their bloating, their gas better. So
Yeah.
if you have that, you don't want to have too much garlic, but it doesn't mean you can't have garlic at all.
The other thing is, I think with FODMAPs, a lot of my clients have said to me, they can eat some of the things on FODMAPs and not some of the others. So I think it's an individual thing with FODMAPs as well. Some people can tolerate, a quarter of an avocado. Some people can't have any at all. Some
And
people,
And
Yeah,
that,
it depends.
that comes back to understanding that when you're approaching your eating and how your food makes you feel, that even though there are all these guidelines out there, it's still an individual journey in the sense that you have to figure out what are your tolerances, because one person with the same condition may be able to eat something that you can't with that same condition.
yeah.
And everybody's
also,
different.
Don't you think? One day you can eat more of something, and then the next day you're like, I feel a bit bloated after that. So.
And you know what probably is going on in the background is the differences in the microbiome of people with
Yeah.
similar conditions, but
Yeah.
their microbiome is different. So depending on the bacteria in your gut, that will allow different types of tolerances for different foods.
It's so interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
You were talking the other night a lot about the microbiome. I wanted to ask you something. How
So
do people
we'll
sort
tell
of-
people what is the microbiome, because I think sometimes
Yeah.
people
What
don't
is it?
understand.
What is it?
So the microbiome is the balance of good bacteria, bad bacteria, parasites, yeast, and even viruses. This is a
Really?
this
I
is a
never
really
knew
big
it
thing.
was
Is that we've
viruses.
got this whole group of viruses that live inside our gut,
Uh-huh.
and that's going to be the next wave of figuring out the microbiome. Is it's not just about the bacteria; it's about the viruses and
Yeah.
what they do and how they affect our health, both in good ways and in bad ways. And they're called bacteriophages.
Really?
It's kind of funny because
Yeah.
phage means eat,
Phage.
and bacteria, you know what that means. So these are like bacteria eating viruses. They're not really, but they latch on to the outside of the bacteria and they can inject their genetic material inside. It's
Unbelievable.
pretty unbelievable.
And yeah, so with the microbiome,
here's another
how
one.
can people know what sort of strains that they've got too much of or too little of?
Yeah,
How do
so
they sort of
there was a study that I talked about last night where the researchers looked at if you give someone a probiotic of a bacteria that they are missing in their gut. So they used bifidobacterium,
Yeah.
and they used a group of patients and separated them into a group that was missing the bacteria and a group that wasn't. And the people that were missing it, it actually seeded their gut. Whereas if your gut didn't need that bacteria, then
What happens to it if it doesn't need it?
then it's gonna stay for a little while, but
Yeah.
eventually you're gonna lose it because there is this bidirectional interaction between the bacteria that live in our gut and the type of secretory antibodies that we produce. So we're almost like genetically determined to live with certain groups of bacteria, and we
yeah.
probably learn it in our early life
Do you
as we're
think
getting
it's a
colonized.
cultural thing as well, like other cultures?
So we know that the type of bacteria that live in your gut, coming from Australia, might be slightly different. There's going to be similarities,
Yeah.
but there are differences that are around the world. If you're from Asia, if you're from Africa, the gut microbiome looks different.
Really?
And we're learning more about this because of the ability now to study the DNA of the gut microbiome, so they can PCR and show all the different species.
Yeah.
So
how many species are there, would you say?
So we estimate like 600 to 800 different species of bacteria in your gut.
Yeah.
And 100 trillion bacteria living in the gut, which is more than the amount of stars in the Milky Way galaxy, which is around 400 billion. So it's pretty incredible. And what I thought of last night as I was talking was that this is something that has been handed off from human being to human being from the beginning of time. We have lived symbiotically with bacteria from the very beginning. And it's just been passed on, and it starts when the baby is born and goes through the vaginal canal and gets coated with the bacteria that are in the vagina that begin...
And through the breast milk as well, you were saying.
Yes.
Which is really interesting.
That's something we learned in the last couple of years, is how the mother, through her breast milk, transfers bacteria from her gut to her baby. So she's helping colonize the gut.
Yeah.
And you think that this has been for centuries.
Yeah.
This is the way. So we're these biological beings living with these, I don't know, we should call them travelers. Community, our tribe. We've got our own internal tribe.
I have put some garlic in there.
Okay.
Next.
What do you want me to do?
Yeah, so you can throw that in there. I like to use about...
You said like a tablespoon,
Yeah,
right?
a teaspoon, yeah.
Oh, teaspoon.
Yeah, a couple of teaspoons. Just
tell me when.
Yeah, I'll say when. I like it to look really quite turmeric-y, really beautiful, vibrant, and orange.
I can't get enough turmeric, so...
Yeah. That's looking really good. And then, if we have a spoon, we'll just give that a little bit of a stir.
Anybody who's tuning in right now, we're in my kitchen with chef, nutritionist, yoga teacher, book author, Lee Holmes, visiting from Australia.
Sydney.
From Sydney, Australia. And she is on a book tour for her book, which is right here. And is this recipe in your book?
This recipe is in one of my other books that is out here as well, called Eat Clean, Green and Vegetarian. But I just love this recipe so much. It's just one of my absolute favorites, and I wanted to show it because it's just so great for the gut as well. Very anti-inflammatory. So I've put a little bit more turmeric in there. I've done the lemon, the olive oil. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to put that over the top like that.
While you're doing that, I'm back here checking the picadillo again. So making sure that it's broken up into little pieces, and it's actually almost completely cooked at this point. But what I do is I add a little bit of wine once the meat is not red anymore, once it's cooked. So then I let it continue cooking and absorbing some of those flavors.
Yeah.
So we've also preheated the oven to 325 degrees. And we're going to put the cauliflower in a baking dish. That hand you saw there is Jade from behind the camera. So should I get this to you here?
Yeah. So what we're doing here is we just want to evenly coat it all, so as much sort of coating as possible. I did add a little bit of extra turmeric on top. You can also put some flaked almonds in this. It's really nice as well, or anything like that. And then on top of it, you can put a little bit of coriander if you want to. I think we're going to use some fresh margarine today. But any kind of herbs that you like. I've used sage before, and that's really yummy as well.
The other thing that
I'm going to throw that in there. Looking good.
That looks really nice.
Yeah. And then you want to get those nice pieces of garlic. And what is one of my favorite ingredients to just put on top of that are my nutritional yeast flakes, which we've got over here. Pass those over. And they are full of B vitamins, so really good for, if you're suffering from sort of anxiety, depression. They really pep you up. They're great. Full of B vitamins, magnesium as well. So
they also give it a kind of like a
cheesy, nutty.
Yeah, cheesy, nutty flavor.
I like to use a few of these. So I'm just gonna like popcorn. I'm just sprinkling them on top. So think of cheesy popcorn when you're making this dish. It's really delicious. So a couple of tablespoons of just popping that on top. And then the next step is just to pop that in the oven, and that's all you do. So it's really simple, just a few ingredients. Yum. Are you ready to go in?
So while you were doing that, I was adding a little bit of wine
Right.
to the meat. I'm turning the heat down,
Can we pop this in the oven?
and we're going to pop this in the oven. Let me cover that.
And yeah, you can throw that in. We can add the herbs later if we want to, just for decoration.
So it's at 325 degrees, and how long should we leave it in there for?
About 30 minutes, 30 to 35 minutes, but halfway through you can give it a bit of a stir if you want to as well.
Okay, so I'll put a timer for 15 minutes so that we know
We
to
can
give
do
it that little stir. And in the meantime,
How's the picadillo?
so the picadillo is actually, the top is getting a little bit hot now.
Yeah.
So it's looking really good there. And I have a smaller pot. This is one of my favorite ones. I use this one probably more than any other pot. This 360 Cookware stainless steel small saucepan, I think they call
I like
it.
the size of that though, because when you're cooking, you don't need a huge saucepan just to do that, do you? What kind of things do you do in that?
So what I do in here, so today I'm doing butternut squash, so I've got the heat on, and what I do is I coat the bottom of the pot with olive oil or coconut oil.
Coconut. Or
Just
ghee.
so that-
Do you ever use ghee?
Ghee also.
I like ghee.
Ghee is great.
Half
So
Indian.
for gut healing, it's high in butyric acid, which is anti-inflammatory,
Yeah.
and we know very important for the health of the body, even regulating blood sugar.
Right.
So the butternut squash is in here with some oil or ghee or
Whatever you like.
whatever you like at the bottom, just to keep it from sticking. And I put a little bit of water in
How much water would you put? Probably like half a cup, or sort of about
probably
that much in the
about
bottom.
probably about quarter cup to half a cup.
Okay. Yeah.
And you don't need to put a lot of water in these 360 Cookware stainless steel pots and saucepan, because what happens is, you see the shape of this
It's
here?
different shape.
It's got kind of like a unique shape. What happens is, once it starts heating, you rotate it and it creates a vapor seal, so you can actually cook things with less water. So that's part of the thing, is you can use less oil, less water.
Yeah. More
It really
flavor.
sustains,
Yeah.
like it concentrates the flavor.
Yeah, it would really intensify the flavor. I'm really looking forward to trying those actually.
So, and for anyone who's watching, if you sign up for the newsletter, you're going to get an email with a coupon for 10% off your first purchase of 360 Cookware. So, and go to
That's a good deal.
360cookware.com.
HappyGutLife.com.
Oh yeah, sorry. Happy
where
Gut
you
Life.
go.
Sorry about
Thank
that.
you, Jay.
That's what I'm here for.
I like sending them. You're not going to get it if you go to 360, but go to happygutlife.com and sign up for the newsletter. You're going to get our special promo code for 10% off 360 Cookware. Thank you, Jade, for that. So, all right, this is cooking. That's going. I got the picadillo on low heat. The cauliflower is in here. Tell us about what we're going to make for dessert.
Dessert is another one of my favorites. Avocado and ice cream. Now, if you do have FODMAPs, you can just have a little bit of this, but anyone can really have it. It's really gut healing. It's beautiful and it's soothing on the body, you know, and it's sweet and it's yummy. But it's made with coconut milk, so that's a sort of natural sweetener, and a bit of vanilla, and a little bit of lemon, and it's delicious. Avocado and ice cream.
Awesome. So we're going to take a little break, and we will be back to demonstrate how to make the avocado ice cream. Hanging here with Lee Holmes from Down Under.
In the house.
Welcome to my kitchen.
Thank you. Thanks for having
So
me.
great to have you here. I'm so excited. This is my new kitchen. Just moved here a few months ago.
Yeah, it's great.
And so for anyone who's watching, I'm sure you know, but I'm Dr. Vincent Pedre, the author of Happy Gut. And Lee is here promoting her new book, Heal Your Gut. So we are like synergistic gut healers from opposite sides of the world.
Yep.
One day I'll be visiting you in
Yeah,
Australia.
it'll be good. And you'll be in my kitchen along the herb wall cooking with me too.
So we'll be
See you
back
soon.
in a couple of minutes. Back live. See you soon.